5 minutes late, you guys. Sorry about that. Me and Jill were talking about the subject for tonight, and I got going. I got pontificating. And let's see. It is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. I notice I don't look so good with glasses on, but sometimes I need them. And normally, or lately here, we haven't been on Wednesday night. We've been skipping Wednesday night, but I had to skip last night because of my grandson's birthday party. So it was a good reason to skip. So let's see if people kind of remember that I was going to take Tuesday off and then fill it in with Wednesday. All right, Justin's with us. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Would you look at that? And Bryce is with us. Right on, Bryce. Bryce is a busy boy these days. See a little bit of his action on Facebook on the Tribester. Okay, well, this is what my life was like today. Let's see, what did I do? I was the guy. Brittany's with us. Good. Today was my day to milk. I got up a little on the late side today for some reason, and Lenny's with us. Right on. And got out a little late and did the milking. Oh, good. This is great. I'm getting exactly what I want here. And then I had to feed pigs, and that took me a little while. And then I had to water cows, and that took me a little while. And then I was to the point where now I can work on what I want to work on. And what I'm doing is I'm increasing the efficiency of our garden. Like with this year, I'm looking at it like this is the year to take this really seriously. And as I told you, I was down at the Clerks this weekend. They had a kind of workshop on organic gardening, and it was really motivational. It was really motivational for me to be around a bunch of other people that really are into this stuff. And I had some ideas, and I could show you on the board if you'd like me to show you what I want to do. Our garden is like 50 by 100, and this is the south. And along this side, quite a few years ago, I would say probably at least 12 years ago, I planted raspberries, and then I planted another type of raspberry here on the east side. And the idea is, what I had read was that the prevailing wind is from the southwest, where I am. So that's this way, right? And so what you want to do, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Bryce will correct me, I'm sure. You want to keep this soil as warm as you can. So the prevailing wind that's going across that soil is going to take any of the heat with it. So if you have these raspberries here as a barrier, it slows it down or stops it. And, you know, this is warmer. You'll get stuff that will germinate quicker, I guess, and on and on. It's just more efficient. And that's why I did that. And these raspberries have been really nice. They've been really nice. It's been a great source of food for my kids, and it's just a source of enjoyment. I mean, the raspberries that come off of them are, you know, about an inch long, and wow, they're good size. But what has happened is they've grown in. You know, they've grown into the garden. They're 8 feet in. This was just a 2 foot. I put down 2 feet of barrier and planted them in that. And the first year, I don't think we got any the first year, because they were just single canes the first year. And it took a couple years before they really came in thick. Now they're about, the band's about 8 feet. And what I did is I put in an H post here and an 8 post here. And this is the area I told you that I mowed it. I mowed it down. I mowed all those raspberries down. And I'm supposed to do it at the end of the season, and I'm hoping I didn't do anything wrong. But I had a water line in here too that was just sitting in there. It was actually on the inside of the raspberries, but then it wound up in the middle of the raspberries because the raspberries were all the way in here encroaching on the garden. And it was nice to have that amount of fruit, but it did take up a lot of the garden. So anyway, I put a chunk of fence in here just like that, and now this area here on the inside of the fence, I'm going to put barrier down. And I'm buying really good stuff, a 6 foot chunk, 6 foot wide, really good stuff. So this is 100 feet long, 50 wide. That's a good sized garden. And then I'm going to put a chunk of it down. Oh, and the greenhouse is right here. And then I'm going to put a chunk of it down here too. And in here, I want to put blueberries. And then in here, I want to put strawberries and asparagus. Yep, that's what I want to do. You burn holes through the barrier plastic. It's not plastic, it's like a woven type thing. Plant right down through it. Water can go down through it, but weeds can't come up. It's a weed block. You got to get the good stuff. And then I'm going to mulch it. So I'm going to buy mulch and put it over it. I want it to look nice, but I also want it to produce. So we'll have raspberries on the outside, strawberries and asparagus on the inside. Sounds like a good plan to me. If there's something wrong there, I should know. I wish somebody would say something, but I'm going to amend the soil here and put quite a few blueberries in. I think anyway, that's the best place that I have for it, and that's what I want to do. And so that's what I worked on today. I got that fence in. I also am going to put up a pole here and a pole here and put swallow houses on it. I don't know why, but it seems important to me to have the swallows at the garden area. It seems like a good idea. They don't hurt anything, and it's kind of fun to see that swarm of swallows going around. And another thing that fence is going to give me is I have a turnout for water right here, and then I will have another one right here. I have one there, and then I have one here and this year I want to get serious about irrigation, and yeah, I'm working on a couple of ideas. I'm not sure how beneficial it is to just take water out of the ground. It's cold, and then put that on the garden. I know it would be better if I was taking it out of the pond. It's warm, and then I could put that on, especially at night. So I'm kind of working on something there, which, I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. But yeah, that's what I did. Let's see who's here. Okay, Keith's with us, Inga's with us, Vindicti's with us, and Sean Wise. All right, great. I'm glad you guys remembered that I was coming on Wednesday night. Anyway, that's what I did today, and it was nice. The kids were at homeschool, and so I was here by myself. And then, in the afternoon sometime, I skipped lunch because I was just working and I didn't feel like coming in the house. So it was kind of nice out. And then after lunch, we had a downpour, and it was a beauty. I got 3/4 of an inch here, but my friend that runs a sawmill called me, and he said, down by him they got 3 inches. 3 inches of rain. So when it started raining, I needed a couple of things, and I had to go to Cadillac to get them. So I took that opportunity and I went. And when I got back, it was still kind of raining. And so I moved some tools in the man van, and I stretched out there for a little naparoo. So I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today. Really good, really good. Okay. So a couple things. We have a pastured poultry class coming up June 11th. And I'm finding out today that that is an $80 per seat class, 80 bucks. And here's what it entails. We start off in the morning with coffee, of course, 9 o'clock. Get name tags, all that stuff. I think they're taking 20 people. So then we're going to go over to the maintenance area, and we're going to see some of the techniques that we use to build our chicken tractors, and then just have a general discussion why we do it that way. So we've been doing it long enough where we know what works and what doesn't work, what construction methods are good and which ones are not so good, what materials stand up, which ones don't. So I'm on I think generation 5 is where we're at right now with our chicken tractors. And so that's where it begins. We go from there to the brooder, and then we get to see that. You get to see it real time. And again, more discussion. From there, we make our way out to the pasture, to the field, where there's chickens out there on the field. Tractors are in service. And then we do a little operational exercise. Everybody gets to operate the chicken tractors and see the, what works, what doesn't, why we've designed it this way, what to look out for when you make your design, things like that. And then we talk water systems, we talk feed, we talk feeding systems. And then about that time, we're getting done. We're getting done for the day, or for lunch, for lunch. And of course, we come in for lunch and we're having chicken. We're having chicken for lunch. So we have a good lunch, talk more about pastured poultry, about sales, about marketing, about, any kind of regulatory things, anything like that, any questions that people have, because there's a lot of frequently asked questions. And when you're in the environment, people kind of like, oh, now's a good time to ask that question. And we encourage people to take notes. Then we finish lunch, and then we're going right to the butcher shop. We've got chickens picked up. Oh, I left that out, that we're going to pick up chickens. Everybody gets to participate in that process a lot, because we're going to do quite a few birds, so that by the time you leave, you've operated every position on the line that you care to. We don't press anybody into anything that they don't feel comfortable doing. We don't make fun of people. We don't bully people, anything like that. At least the rest of my crew doesn't. I might a little bit, just a little bit. Certain people, I will bully them. And then we do chicken cut up, right? That's Jill's department, and, discuss all that. So a person leaves here and they could probably be calling the hatchery on the way home and get their chickens coming, start working on your brooder, start working on your first chicken tractor. By the time your chicks show up, you're ready to go. And you are in the pastured poultry business. And you can run it like a business if you want, or you can just do it for your own family, homesteading. You might even want to invest in a really nice plucker and build a shop, and then have a chicken processing business like we do. We've done really well with it. We've done really well with it. It's one of those things. It's not a lot of fun, but we do really well with it. So we're going to keep doing it. Although things could change this year, they could. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 Amish that are going to process chickens this year. Like they don't commit to anything. They will do it for a few seasons, and their mantra is, we can do it cheaper. That's their mantra. And we have people that have been with us for years and years, and as soon as some Amish moves in that does it for a nickel cheaper, they'll go to them. And so we don't stress about it. We just, hey, whatever. And but people always come back because, you know, Jill and I do pretty good quality work. And so when the birds leave here, they're in good shape. Plus, we have refrigeration, and we have, you know, we take, you know, all kinds of things like that. So that's one of the things you deal with in this kind of business is you have people that kind of come in and they see that you're doing well with the business, and then they copy it. And Amish are famous for that. They are famous for that. We have had, oh, I can't even count them, Amish that have moved into this community, and they look around, hey, what's going on around here? Have a good chicken butchering business. So they do the same thing, and then they'll put a flyer up right next to ours, and they'll do it for, you know, 25 cents cheaper. And that's just how they do it. That's how they do it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We were having dinner tonight, and I said, you know, I said, if the Amish take over and they run us out of business, we will just figure out something else to do, and we will probably do better at it than chicken butchering, which what I'm going to talk about tonight has a lot to do with that attitude that you have to have when you're in this business. I am not afraid at all of them coming in and taking my chicken butchering business. You can have it, you know, because I'll just go on to something else. And I have ideas. I'm always putting together ideas of other things to do. Actually, we've done really well with the butcher shop. It's been one of the better things that we've done here. We do a lot of things here, but it's been one of the better things that we've done. And if I wanted to put the pedal to the metal on it, I could probably make a killing. I really could right now, but that's not what I want to do. You know, I got enough stuff like that. I don't, you know, I'm interested in living a quality life. If I wanted to chase dollars, I suppose I would just rob banks. You know, that pays good, but I'm not really chasing dollars at this point. Not so much, you know, not so much. I want to be able to have a good quality of life. Chicken butchering is not exactly fun, but it's like 1 or 2 days a week, and it pays really well. Pays really well. So, at least in my economy. In some people's economy, might not be so good. Like, it works for me, but it might not work for Bryce, right? He loves to work hard, but he doesn't have as many kids as I have. So that's a limiting factor. It would just be him and Sophie doing it. And that, you know, he just couldn't do that and run his vegetable business at the same time. So it works for me, but it doesn't work for everybody. But Amish people have a lot of kids. They got a lot of hands around. So it does work for them. But like I said, if they take it, take it. I got something else I can do anyway. So I wanted to talk about something that I encounter quite a bit, and it smacked me right in the face today. I was talking with somebody. You guys know that part of what we do here is consulting. Like, I have people that will call and want to talk to me for great periods of time on the phone, and what we do is we say, well, you know, if you'd like to buy some consulting time, we can do that. And then it's, oh, a lot of people are like, yeah, I sure would, because they know I have things to do. And, you know, if you want to learn how to do something, you go to somebody that knows how to do it. And I cannot just spend my whole day on the phone consulting with people. So if I do consult with people, I get compensated, and it's fair. It's a fair trade. I mean, I couldn't imagine going to somebody else and just saying, "Hey, show me how to do this," and not compensating them. I always feel like I want to compensate people and, make it a fair trade. And that is a thing that farmers struggle with. They don't value their time. They don't value their time, and they should. They need to. Go to a lawyer and see if you can get some consulting. See how quickly that works. Call up any of these agencies and see what kind of consulting you get. They want you off the phone, so, right now. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to waste their precious time with you. So in the course of consulting, I see two things that hold people back from their dream. And a lot of times I feel as though, this is my perception. People are asking me for consulting because they want to go the direction that I've gone with this farm. That's the feeling that I get. They're not asking me to consult with them because I'm a loser, and a failed farm, and, I don't shower only once a year, something like that. I don't think that's why they want consulting. I think they want consulting because we're doing okay. And, I try to share with you why we're doing okay, why we're actually doing good, actually thriving. It's not like that I have a pile of money that I can throw at things. I don't, just like everybody else. It's not like I have a magic wand. It's just one foot in front of the other. And we've been here 18 years. I think maybe this is our 19th year. I got out of service in 2004. So it's just been a gradual climb. And we're always trying to, if we fall back a couple steps, okay, then we're going to work a little harder and get a few steps ahead. And willing to do things that we don't want to do. I've said this to you before. The difference between a successful homesteader and an unsuccessful homesteader is the successful homesteader is willing to do what the unsuccessful homesteader is not. And I said willing. I didn't say can't. I said willing. There's people that can't do certain things. I can't. Well, I guess I could. I shouldn't say that. But there are people that can no longer do the things that they used to do. Well, that's okay. What can you do? There's a whole list of stuff that I don't do, and I could, but I don't have time to do it. But I could do it. There's really not a whole lot that I can't do right now. But I know those days are coming. They're ahead of me, where I can't do things. Like I don't go up on the barn roof, but I can. I just choose not to, because if I fall off, it's the recovery time is not as quick as it used to be. So I limit that, right? So Amish disappear quicker than they show up. Don't get me wrong. I don't care. We find other things to do that are probably more profitable than it, and I'm not really worried about it. In a way, in a twisted way, I kind of think you guys take it for a few years, because I know what happens, right? People go run into the Amish because it's a little bit cheaper, and then they say, yeah, but the birds are gross, or yeah, but they butchered chickens that my dog killed the night before, or things like that. There's all kinds of stories that I hear when people come back. So anyway, I don't care. We got other things to do. If that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. I butchered enough chickens in my day. So have my kids. Yeah, we'll find something else to do. But the things that I see that hold people back in their operations, and I had a twinge of it today myself. There are two things. The number one thing is fear, right? And if you think about it, if you think about all the different things that all the different ways that you are kind of reminded constantly, that you need to get permission to do things. Like if you were to just look and see how many things that you could, in a county like I live, how many things you could get a permit for. You could get permission to do it from county government. They want you to get a permit to do this and a permit to do that. They want a special use permit. They want this, that. And, we have a tendency to think that, oh, well, they're just raking in money. They're just selling permits. I say that to you all the time. That's part of it, because they do make a lot of revenue selling permits, selling permission. They do. And they have to pay their people, but usually that comes out of the tax money that's collected off of us, property taxes, and then the county takes their bite of it, and then they send it to the state. They take their bite of it, and then they send it. Well, what if we didn't have a permitting office in the county? And if you are a landowner and you want to do something, you think it through. I think I'll put this well down. Gee, maybe I should put it right in my septic field. Well, that would be a dumb person that do that, and you're the ones that would have to suffer for it, because you get a glass of water and it would taste like urine, right? You wouldn't do that. But the premise that's put forward is you're just too dumb to do it. You're just too dumb to figure it out. Wiring a plug in your house, you're just too friggin' dumb to do it. Well, what if you wanted to do it and you made it your business to learn how to do it? Could you do it as good as an electrician? The electricians didn't come off the shelf knowing how to do it. They had to learn how to do it. Could you learn how to do it? I think you could. So that's not the only place where there's fear-based. That's not the only place. You see this in the United States, and if those of us that have traveled outside of the country a lot and spent time with other cultures, you see people who do things, and I'm in awe of what they do. And I can give you a lot of examples. I was in South America one time on the coast, and there was this guy and his two boys, and they were abalone foragers or fishermen. Abalone is sort of a crustacean, I guess, and they got to dive down and they got to pry them off the rocks. And it was really, the weather was not good. I mean, there was, the waves were hitting the rocks really hard. These guys had their boat anchored off. The dad was in the boat running a gasoline engine with a compressor on it, and he had two hoses going out. The boys had the hoses in their mouths, and they would dive down and they would work down there breathing, no face masks on, no safety equipment, no buoyancy stuff, none of that stuff. And they were young. They were my son's age, and they were not afraid at all. They had it totally under control, and they were making a living. They were doing really well. And I thought, as an American GI, I thought, wow, the safety, a young kid like that diving down, 30 feet and prying things off with just a knife in their teeth, and I thought, wow, this is just, it's unsafe. And it was, sent a shudder through me. What we had done, we had taken a boat and we had gone out a little farther than we should have and got some trouble too. But we didn't know what we were doing. We were just ignorant. But I saw this, and I've seen other things. I was in the Philippines, and I ran into a guy that I knew from tech school, and he had wound up, getting married to a Filipina, and the whole family moves in with you once you marry one of the daughter, the mom and dad, everybody. And I was at his house. He was going to have me over for dinner, and I was looking at, he had a car sitting in his driveway, and it had a big dent in the roof. I said, boy, what happened there? And he says, this guy was from Texas. He's from like East Texas. And he said, that coconut fell off of that tree, dent in my car. And I said, wow, can you eat those? He says, you sure can. I said, you got one? I'd like to kind of see what they look like, because it was not like the coconuts you see at the store. It's got that big husk on it. It's the first time I'd ever seen it. First time being in the tropics. And he calls in the house and he says, Melby, come on out here. And this little girl comes out, and she's like 10 years old, skinny little Filipino girl. And he says, get up that tree and get Mark one of these coconuts. And so she goes in the house and she gets a knife right in her teeth, goes up the side of this tree just like a monkey. I'm not kidding. Just like you see a monkey climb the tree with a knife in her teeth. And she gets up there, she's hanging on with one hand, takes that knife out of her teeth and just whack, whack, whack. And down comes a coconut. And then she knife back in her teeth, comes back down the tree. And then he didn't even have to tell her what to do. She just took the coconut and she stands it up on end with this knife. And it was about, I'd say the blade on that thing was a knife about a foot long, and it was kind of thin, right? But it was a heavy blade. Doesn't matter. But she was holding it with her left hand, I suppose, and had it up on end, and then was whack to cut through that husk. And I mean, that might be something I might do now at this point in my homesteading career. I do a lot of things, but a 10-year-old kid, I was horrified watching that because I thought she's going to hit her hand. But she wasn't going to hit her hand. Not at all. She was turn that thing, whack, turn it, whack, whack. And here I am standing there like 24-year-old guy thinking, boy, I'm really a wuss compared to this little 10-year-old Filipino kid. And then I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and I was in way away from the base, and I got to know the people, and I got to see how they do things, and I actually kind of modeling what we do here after seeing that. And it, like I tell you guys that I really liked my officers because I was pretty young, and the space in the Philippines and the people, and there's a lot of violence there. There's a lot of everything nasty going on there. A lot of homeless people, it's good and bad, but it's extreme. It's very extreme. And they would help make sense of it, like when we would be late at manning our post and just talking about it. And I had this one officer, I remember he said, yeah, we're kind of a decadent society. And I kind of must have looked at him like, he says, yeah, you know what I mean by decadence. And I was like, actually, I don't. I did not know what that meant exactly. And I wasn't a dumb kid or anything. I just maybe never had that in vocabulary. So he explained it to me. And I started thinking, yeah, we really are. And I was the worst. I was the worst. And so I made a change. Now I'm not decadent. I don't believe that I'm decadent at all. I believe that I can take pleasure in the simple things in life and be really happy with that. Really happy. I don't need the bells and whistles, and I'm more than willing. I want to do the dirty work. I really want to do the dirty work. So anyway, what I noticed was in those countries was there was not that inherent fear of, cutting your hand with a knife, that fear of, oh, be careful, you'll fall out of that tree, just constantly. And when I think about American society, especially now, there is this streak of fear that people have gotten used to, and I swear they kind of get off on it. It's kind of weird, actually, where I am repulsed by it. Like, I was at a gathering recently, and the talk started going towards, the fear of the Wu flu, and it repulsed me for sure, and I just couldn't even stand there and listen to it. But I analyzed, why are these people so into this? What is it about this? They are so into it. Like, hey, I'm going to go get myself a test. I want to know if I got it, because then I can be more afraid. And like, why even get a test? They're going to send you home anyway to get over it. Just don't worry about it. Just get over it. And if it was, the year was 2019 and you were blowing your nose, you would not think, oh, I must have COVID. I got to go find out if I got COVID. Why? So they put you on a ventilator and kill you? But it's just like the fear that has been used, like against people that are receptive to it, makes them act very erratically, very illogically, right? So here we are, a homesteading group, and we have to think, gee, that doesn't have anything to do with us, does it? Well, I think we need to look at that a little bit. Like, I started this recent project, and there was a moment where I thought, ugh, that's a lot of work. I got to go cut posts. I got to, I got to get all the equipment out here. I got to get the fence out here. I got to get the apparatus on the track to pull the fence out, do all this stuff. And for a minute, it was kind of like, ugh, I don't know if I want to do that. But all the feeling that I had of a new system, a better system, went to bed at night, falling off to sleep, thinking, here's how I want it to be. This is what I'm expecting to get out of this. For a second, I almost said, "Ah, the hell with it. It's good enough the way it is." I almost did. But I remember a friend of mine said to me one time, "Hey, no guts, no glory." Like, and I'm not looking for glory from, anybody, but when I step back from something that I've done, and I feel as though I've done a good job, there is a feeling, and maybe that feeling is glory. I mean, he's in his glory. He's feeling pretty good about it. But it's a personal thing. So where else do we see fear? Where else do we see fear? I happen to, we administer the tribe page, and excuse me, let me get a little coffee here. And the purpose of the tribe page is that people can become inspired by what other people are doing. If they start getting in to where they think they might be over their head, they can ask a question and hopefully get responses. And we have been really diligent. If there is a spirit of fear that finds its way in there, and there isn't opposing forces to counter that, then we will get involved. But what I am seeing in the tribe is a bunch of braves coming in. It's tribe, right? Indian, Native American, Indian, right? Indians, Iroquois, you know, and the warrior class are the braves, and they fear nothing. They're not afraid of anything. It's almost like special forces people. They act the same way. What am I afraid of? There's nothing here for me to be afraid of. If I get killed in the commission of my duties, so be it. I'm gonna get killed one of these days anyway, or I'm going to die one of these days anyway. And then I just move from this plane of existence to another plane of existence. So what is there to be afraid of? You know, fear of death is part of American society, but it wasn't part of the American Indians. That was a sort of a fear has always been used to coerce people, right? And we're seeing it big time now. I mean, they've pulled the stops on fear. So yeah, in our farming, a lot of the things that are the ticket to a successful farming operation. Remember the things that I talked about that the unsuccessful farmer does not want to do. A lot of times it is out of fear. You know, I've said over and over and over that the choke point on this whole war on food is processing. Like everybody in the tribe, I would be ecstatic if everybody had some form of processing operation. I would be ecstatic because I know that we're overcoming. That's the choke point that they've chosen. Why do they choose that one? Because people don't like doing it. I wonder why. It's not pleasant to do. And that's the terrain that's out there, and that's what they use as a choke point. So to counter that, we have to overcome that, and we have to set up lots and lots of processing. And of course, then people have a tendency to run to those and ask for permission. You know, it's sort of a never-ending thing. And if you go to the rule book and don't ask people, you know, let's just go over to the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Your life, your liberty, your property, and your process is protected under due process of law. And if you go to law books, all you have to do is go laws, concerning processing, you know, butchering of animals in the state of wherever you live. And I can only speak for the United States because I'm not really up to speed on the Canadian thing. And there's nothing. I mean, you cannot be coerced into getting permission to be a processor. And that's a conversation. Well, what about USDA and all that? Well, they have a way of triangulating. You know, if this person over here gets into a contract, and the contract that they've signed on the bottom line is they're saying that we will only use, you know, beef that's processed at a USDA plant. They've entered into that agreement. It isn't the law that you have to use that. There is no law concerning that. You can use beef. I mean, there's no law saying where it's got to be processed. And of course, they kind of coerce you with this scenario by saying, well, we're doing it for safety because meat is inherently unsafe. That's what they're saying. Meat is inherently unsafe. They're saying milk is inherently unsafe. They're saying, you know, and on it goes. So they say, well, you can't sell raw because it's unsafe. But if we take it to a plant and we process it a lot, we make it safe. And then it's okay. Then you can buy it. You can have it in your car. If you get pulled over by the state police and you have it in your car, you don't have to chuck it out the window. Right? You know, that's my thing. I'm kind of kidding around because all over the place you will hear people propagating the fear, right? Propagating the fear, even if they don't know it. They don't know anything. You know, they will They can't help it. They have to say it. So I ran a little bit of an operation just before I went on, because I've been thinking about this all day, and there was a lot of conversation on the tribe last week. And we let it go because it's like people had it handled. You know, we didn't really need to step in. But it was somebody wanted the vet to come out and look at their cows. And they said that the vet said that if they're going to sell raw milk, then the vet can't even look at their cow because the vet could get in trouble. Get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. What happens when mom comes home? You're going to get in trouble. You know, and then it's like, oh no, it's the fear of getting in trouble. So there it is. It's that fear type thing. Now, you know, my kids don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get yelled at by me. They don't want to get a spanking, and that's real life. You know, I mean, that can happen. But when it comes to a lot of the things that have to do with our farming operations, you have to sift down through it and say, now, wait a minute. Is what I'm doing legal or illegal? Like, illegal is there's a law that says you can't do it. A law, all right? A law. You know, in my house, we have rules, right? And they're enforced by, you know, mom and dad. And, you know, the rule is, like, if you talk back to mom or tell a lie, you could wind up in the bathroom and getting a spanking. So there's repercussions to it, right? But in our society, especially when it comes to farming, there's a lot of nebulousness about you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get in trouble. So what I did, just for fun, and I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I went on a familiar page that I like to go on because they share cool things there. It's Michigan Homesteaders. But there's also a lot of fear shared on there too. And I don't have time to dispel it, and it's not my site, so I just leave it alone. But just for fun, I took a picture of 2 gallons of milk, and that happens to be the milk that I got from my cows this morning. So it's real grass-fed milk. And I put a caption on it, and I said, grass-fed milk for sale. And I posted it, right? And so I know what I'm doing. I'm trolling, and I'm trolling a lot of people who don't know any better, but they're going to parrot what they've heard. They're going to parrot it. Now, I'm going to look at it in a minute, but before I do, I'm going to tell you a little story. This happened not too long ago. We were here. I think I may have told you this story before, but we were here, and you know, it was a friend of mine, and you know, another person was there. I don't want to give names or anything. It's just an example, but this really did happen. And a friend of mine commented on a sign that I had made. I'm really big into signs, and it was a sign that said milk. And I screwed it to the refrigerator, and that's where we put the milk. And when people drive in the driveway, they can just stop there, grab the milk, and go. You know, it's a horseshoe driveway, it goes right back out on the road. And he was commenting about it, and I said, oh yeah, that's working out really good. We've sold a lot of milk through that little refrigerator right there. And there was this other person there who says, you don't sell raw milk. And kind of like I was a petulant child, you know, like, we don't use that type of language here, Mark, like my mother would say, something like that. And this person was obviously about 20 years younger than me, and I don't like being talked to like that, you know, like I'm a petulant child, which I'm not. I knew what this person was getting at. And I said, yes, I do. I sell raw milk. I sell as much as I can to anybody that wants it. And she says, you do not sell raw milk. And I said, what's your thing? And she said, well, I am a lawyer. Oh. And I am duty bound to upchannel any illegal activity to the authorities. And I said, well, sister, here's a phone. You call them. Call them right now. Call the authorities. Do your duty. Do your duty right now. And she was like, well, I said, well, what, you just want me to shut my mouth? You don't want me to say I sell raw milk. I sell raw milk. If it was illegal, if there was a law that said raw milk is illegal, in other words, if you're going down the road and you have a gallon of milk on the front seat of your car and you get pulled over by a state policeman and he jerks you out of the car and cuffs you because you've got raw milk, then it's pretty good chances that there's a law that says you cannot possess raw milk. Well, is there raw milk in those cows out there? Well, yeah, it's in their udder. Well, at what point does it become illegal? Is it when I squirt it into a jar? When I squirt it into a pail? At what point does it become illegal? That's what I wanted to know. If you're saying it's illegal, when does it become illegal? And then if it's in a tanker truck going down to the Yoplait plant, is it illegal in that tanker truck? Or are they authorized to break the law and have raw milk on board? Is it because it's in a tanker that it makes it legal somehow? It's like transitioning. What is it? What's the deal? Tell me what the deal is. Well, the deal is there ain't no deal. Raw milk is not illegal. It is not illegal to possess, to drink, and to distribute. It is not. If it was, it would be a controlled substance, and it would be on a roster right there with crack cocaine. That's the reality of this, right? But people hear it and they reiterate it. They hear it and they reiterate it. I hear people say the stupidest things that you cannot believe. People come to the farm, they're new to the farm, and I've heard pigs are some of the most clean animals there are. As a pig is standing there, one's urinating and the other one's getting, right into his face. Like, what's this? Yeah, they're some of the cleanest animals you're ever going to see. Yep, they root through each other's manure. Oh yeah, that's a clean animal. Oh yeah, it's dumb. People say dumb things, but where do they hear that? And why do you go with that? Because it fits a scenario of fear. Raw milk. Fear. Be scared of raw milk. And I'm not, this isn't a raw milk channel or anything. This is just a reality channel, and it's an example. But we have the same thing with raw milk. I mean, with meat. If you're going to process a cow, you should have a man that has a baseball cap that says USDA on it. And then we know it's being done safely because that man is there, right? Like, you're too dumb to not know that you are not supposed to eat the butthole, right? You're just too dumb. And people do say stuff during our classes. Well, I've heard that if you cut into the guts, that whole carcass is no good. Well, does that make sense to you? But I've heard that because there's some strange Ebola that's in their guts that if it gets on the meat, it'll kill you dead, right? Fear, 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 fear. Always fear. And I'm telling you, the only thing we have to, here we go. The only thing that you should be really afraid of is fear. You should let fear go. Be afraid of nothing. And I'm not, I don't go bungee jumping and things like that. I'm just not into that, but it's not out of fear. It's just like, I'm not going to waste precious time to do that just for bragging rights. And I don't know, but it's not out of fear. All right. So the other thing that I want to talk about, there's two things. There's two things. And when we do consulting with people and I say, you know what, you ought to do this. This is what you could do here. You've got this piece of the puzzle. You've got this piece of the puzzle, this piece of the puzzle, this piece of the puzzle. If you learn this skill, man, you've got it all here. And whenever I'm about to make that pitch to people, I know what's coming. I'm going to prick their I'm going to push their comfort zone. I'm going to push them into some place where they're actually afraid. And so I have to be kind of careful with that. And when you do consulting, you obviously want to be a successful consultant, but you have to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth. And so you size the person up and you say, well, is there any way that they're going to be able to do what needs to be done here? Or do we want to just, kind of get them going on something that's easy, but going to do anything? And, maybe they'll get their confidence up and later on we could say, hey, did you ever think about doing this? So you have to, in the consulting business, you have to be careful. You don't want to just march in there and say, well, you need to grow some balls and learn how to do this stuff. And I don't care if you don't want to do it. I don't care if those kids don't want to help. Kick their butts and get them out here right now, or I'll do it. You really can't do that with people. You have to be a little bit more diplomatic and kind of ease them into it. But some people, you can say, well, this is what I would do if I was you. And they're, really? Yeah. I don't know if I can do that. Of course you can. It's just you have to learn how to do that, right? And then that fear subsides because, oh, I can learn to do that. Of course you can learn how to do this. Of course you can. Right. So the other thing, I hope I've hit everything there on fear, right? Obviously, I mean, you guys have to know this at this point. There is a war on food, and there has been ever since I started this. All right. We have always been told that we need to go and get permission from this one or that one or that one. And they come in here and they say, oh, gee, we could shut this place down. You want to hear a couple good stories? When I first started this, this guy, Mike Comrie, he was the inspector for the USDA, and my shop was a custom exempt shop, which means I'm exempt, right? But still, they want you to fill out an application. So how stupid is that I actually did it? No, I'm exempt. But I did because I played by the rules. And he said to me, oh, well, you need to have covers on these lights here. And I said, I didn't see that in the regulation. I did not see that. They gave me a list of stuff that needed to be done to make this shop up to speed. I did not see that. And he says, well, makes good sense. If that light breaks, it could fall into the hamburger. Somebody could be eating a hamburger and they could get glass in their esophagus and die. I said, well, okay, but I don't see that in the regs, and I'm not going to do stuff just because you think it's a good idea. That's not how this works, I don't think. That's not how it worked in the Air Force. And he says, I'll tell you something, I could shut this place down. And so he was in me saying that he is actually in control of my business. I can shut this place down. I can put a padlock right on that door out there. And I immediately I redlined when I heard that, because I thought, here's this guy from this organization that in charge of I'm the one that paid for the shop. I'm the one that's doing the work, all that stuff. But he's actually in charge? That doesn't sound right. And so I said, well, I'm going to talk to your boss. I'm taking this up to because I think you're a little stronger word than that. And he says, oh, well, we don't need to do this. So I called him. I called his bluff, right? And I said, well, it's too late, Mike. I want to resolve this. I'm taking this up the chain of command. So I called his boss and I said, I want you to know when I'm done with you, I am going over your head. But I'm giving you a courtesy call because your man in the field here, he has the authority to shut the doors on my butcher shop. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that man has the authority to shut my business down. And of course, this man didn't speak English very well. I think he was from India or maybe Pakistan. But I had to corner him and say, look, I want a yes or a no. Does he have the authority, yes or no? And I'm going over your head. So you have to tell me the truth. And he says, well, no, he doesn't. We don't like that kind of talk, but no, he does not. I said, fine. Who's your boss? Because I'm going over your head. And I get another guy, a Dr. White over in Wisconsin. Just so happens he was a GI too. And I told him what had happened. And I said, look, I'm not sure I even want to do this. I just got out of the military. I'm not sure I want to do this. If I gotta, you know, if this guy can bend me over, if I look at him the wrong way, I'm not sure I want to do this. And he says, you put my number on speed dial and you're not going to have any more trouble with that guy. We need more people like you that are willing to run with this. And so I wound up having a good relationship with him. And, but through that period, I realized that I don't really need to do this. I don't really need to have this guy inspect me or anything else. I don't need to play by their rules. They want you to, and they want you to pay them money every year, but why? They don't do anything for you. They just try to scare you with, I will spank you. And once I found out that he couldn't spank me, it was like, why should I even give you the time of day? You want the money for the permit, just ask for the check, but get the hell out of here. I don't need your advice. I did not need this jerk's advice. He had never even been a meat cutter. He used to be a housing and urban development inspector. And now he's it was really stupid, but that's one example of where they tried to use fear on us. And, same thing with the pig thing. That was all about fear and intimidation. They kept the particulars of what they were trying to do kind of a secret. Everything was